Okay, the intent of this video is to go over some common issues I see that people run into with Bambu Studio, and I imagine it's similar in some of the other slicers like Orca. It's this one in particular is the painting function, and I wanted to just show what I have learned through the years on how to use this and kind of issues that pop up because I see this a lot. I do these helmet files, I upload them, I set them up just how I like, how I've learned how to do it, and then people will get them and they'll say, "Hey, this doesn't look right," and I'll find that they've been using the painting function. And as useful as painting can be in certain cases, it also has some drawbacks, and I just wanted to illustrate those right here. So these are two basically identical helmets. It's just one's a little earlier version that I was using, and this one's a later version where I added holes and stuff so that it can be assembled separately. Other than that, these two helmets are basically identical. So what I wanted to point out here is each one of them is in the list. It's just a single object in that list. It's just a helmet. You can see that there's a logo there, just kind of faint lines showing that logo. So the tendency for that most people have is go, okay, I want to color this helmet. So I'm going to go to paint it. I'm going to grab the color I want for the paint and then the fill option that I want, and I'm going to select it. And now I've got this red how I want. I'm going to go do the black. The nice thing about painting, this is super fast and pretty straightforward, very user-friendly. All right? You start doing it like this and you're thinking, there we go, nailed it. Looks fantastic. Red helmet with the properly colored logo. And let's go ahead and slice it. Okay, so it's sliced and generally looks fine. There's a couple things that I wanted to point out. First of all, when we go to the logo, look at these edges. They're jagged. You know, there's these weird little features in here, like it's just not smooth and continuous. It's just jagged. And then the other thing that trips us up is it'll do stuff like this, like it bridges that for no good reason. Come over here, and this one's probably actually passable. If I printed this, probably most people wouldn't really notice that or say too much. It's like, yeah, it generally looks just fine. Sometimes I get them though, and it'll just run a black line right across the logo, and it would drive me nuts. Like I'd try everything to try to fix that, could not figure it out. So there's that, just the logo quality issues, and then also what you'll notice is, in this case, it's using some different colors to support because of this helmet over here. We didn't do anything with that helmet yet. So it's normally these supports would all be red, which would be fine, but then by the time it gets up to here, depending on whether it's got red, black, or white that it's using, it's going to change whatever support color is used. So what you might end up with is black supporting red, so then you break away the support when you're all said and done, and you have little fragments of black along there, and it just is extra cleanup work, and sometimes you just can't get it out. It's just embedded and you just deal with some speck in there. So that just kind of walks through the painting process that is most commonly used and what issues can arise from that. So I'm going to leave that helmet where it's at for right now. We're going to go this one, and this is the steps that I do for every helmet. So if I click on this, right click on it, and go to split to parts, there's a split to objects is a little different. All the parts will fall away. And actually, maybe I'll do that first to show what I'm talking about. So if I was to split to objects, the way I have these designed in CAD is that each one of these features is a separate solid body. They're individual parts that are just assembled together. So if I split to objects, those assembled components will fall down to the build plate. There you go. So if you wanted to try to print a helmet and do the logo separate, like if you don't have an AMS or you're trying to do some more simple version, you may have some success in doing something like that, pulling the helmet twice. There's more to it than that, but and I don't want to go into it in this video, but that's all I wanted to show you here, is that those are separate pieces that are just assembled in place. So I'm going to back up from that, and I think I have to back up again. Yeah. So going back to where it was, it's just a single item over here in this objects list. If you normally you're in this global side, but this objects is when you want to click over to, so you can see a list of, it's kind of like a parts list or a bill of materials if you're in an engineering world at all. So if I right click split to parts, everything stays put. But you'll see over here on this list now, it's like it's itemized. Now, I don't want to paint this at all. What I want to do is change the filament color in this list. And you can either go through, it can be tedious, especially I mean, this one's got 13 items. I've had 200 items in some of these logos. You know, if you got like a tiger with all the stripes or a panther with all the spots, like, man, it can be a lot of lines or a lot of objects. I mean, and initially what I would do is I go click here, right click, change filament, red. Very tedious. I learned actually recently that I can click on an item over here in the list, look at what color I want this to be black, right? And black is filament number 2. On my keyboard, you can't see this obviously, but I'll click the 2 on my keyboard and give it a second, and it's done. And then I can go to the next item. On that, it's already white, no change. Item 4, that also needs to be color 2. There's another way you can do this once, and there's a trick here. Like if I click away and say I want to select the K, the inside of the K, it's going to select the whole thing. But if I click any one of these items, even though that's over there, if I click the K, now it just selects that. And I can hit, and I can just continue this way. That to red, that to red. So I'm just hitting the 3 because red is 3. And if you go fast, it won't work. It can't keep up with you. So if I come over here and go red, 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 see, it missed the middle one that I did. Just undo, slow down a little bit, red, red. Click on that. I don't need anything there. That is going to be black. And there's a couple other ways to do this. You can like edit in table, but I find that it's the fastest. There is one thing that can trip you up and has messed with me before. When I'm over here in the table and I click something, say I click that, and I'm like, no, I wanted the next object. So if I hit the down arrow, sometimes, see, it moves the item. Like, no, I just wanted to go down in my list, not move my part. So I've had people say, hey, this object, I'll click an over arrow. This object just floating out there. What's going on? You can click the object and just hit the arrow to push it back into place. So kind of wanted to show that. Go back to here. So this is the main helmet. I can change this to red. So now these pretty much look the same, but you can kind of notice some weirdness going on here. Some white, if you could really see that. And it doesn't look that way over here at all. So if I slice this, I'll go ahead and slice it just the way it is without changing anything else. We're 90% there anyway. So the difference, just to reiterate, is this is a single object that is painted. So if I was to erase the painting, it goes back. So let's leave it where it is for now. This object, though, has no painting at all. If I erase painting, nothing happens because it's not painted. Now, if I needed to put something, like, that's what I said, painting has its uses. Like if somebody did not design the helmet in a way, or the part that you're working with does not split, because some stuff won't. You'll go over here and you'll right click and you'll hit split to parts and nothing happens. if that's the case, then painting may be your only option. You just kind of have to deal with that. Unless you can get into CAD and create a new model, which is something I run into a lot. But anyway, let me go ahead and slice that. Okay, now let's compare these two. Remember what we had over here with this painted one? Look how jagged that is, and these random weird lines coming through. Look over here. Look how clean that is. I mean, there's obviously the natural layer lines that are showing up, but that's smooth. There's no weird little black line running across there. Some of that stuff is just display artifacts in the way that it shows the line. So like these little dots here, that's nothing. But we got smooth, clean lines, and that is. Oh, I forgot to change the color on that. No big deal, but smooth, clean lines. That's the difference. I don't get these weird stripes popping through, and I don't get these jagged edges. And it becomes especially important with logos that start to wrap up to the top. And I'll explain this here in a second. I've actually got a different file to look at. But this one, it'll appear, last I checked, it appeared reasonable that the way the color comes in about halfway through the part, and it generally stays in a place that kind of makes sense, like it's not propagating this color in a weird direction. But when you get a logo that starts to move closer to the top of the helmet, or especially if you try to print stripes as part of the helmet, you get like where the color will be underneath a layer, and then you'll see through, and it just won't look good. But before I go further into that, notice this here. So this black support is touching the red. So when you break that away, you're going to have those black fragments like I was talking about. It doesn't do it down here because it's only using red down here. But by the time it gets up here, it's maybe using red or black or white. So again, I know I said it before, but whatever's in that nozzle, if it's printing white and it's time to print support, it uses white for the support. And then it goes and changes to black. It prints the black, and then it uses black for the support. So the fix there is to go back. This is an important one. You got to be in the objects. You got to click on this, the object that you want, and it doesn't matter whether the helmet is already split up or not. You can do it for anything. In fact, you can do it on global as well. But you go here to this support raft interface under the support tab, and you're going to change that to match the helmet color, in this case red. I can do that on both of these. So what that does, and sometimes it adds, well, sure, almost certainly it adds a little bit of time. It says, I don't care if you got black or white in your nozzle. When it comes time to put a support interface, so like the layer right between the support and the actual part, you're telling it, I want you to switch over to red. So if I slice this plate, we'll see what that does. Okay, so I didn't change the base because I don't care what color it uses down here. All I care is what color it's using exactly at that interface, and it's really hard to tell, but it forces it over to using red. So they're right in between the supports and the actual part. It's forced to go to red now. So that's another thing that you'll want to do. You could also change it, like if you don't remember to change it and you accidentally have it set to black, we'll slice it here real quick to show what that does. And while this one's slicing, I'll do my little spiel about it. Find me on Maker World. I have 2 accounts on there. I have makerworld.com/@animul67. It's ANIMUL67, and I've got most of my models on there, but I've created a new account that's just @animal, and that's got all my helmets. So I've done all the NFL teams and a bunch of college teams. And right now the helmets are on both, but I'm transitioning them over to that second site. You can also get on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/animal67, ANIMUL67. So you could see what I did here. I changed it to black on this interface layer. So even when it was only using red, this tells it use black for these interfaces. So now you're going to have little black fragments in here and down in here and stuff that's just not going to come off. It's going to drive you crazy. So all that to say, keep this matching the main helmet color. So that's everything that I wanted to show you on these helmets. But there's another thing that was driving me nuts, and it also has to do with painting. So I want to get into that real quick, and that would be what I've got here. I was doing these little earrings, and I already set this one up, so I won't run through the full thing. But when I've got this earring is one piece painted, so I just painted those colors. But this earring is multiple pieces split up with colors assigned, just like I mentioned in the last part. So if I go and slice this, which I had already sliced it, so if I go to what the slice looks like, look at the bottom side, like, yeah, they look pretty good. In fact, if I turn these little seams off, you look at it and basically they look identical. But let me show you something here, because when you print these out, they do not look identical. So go to the first layer. I'm going to look at just a pure top view here. Okay, so first layer, sorry the orientations aren't right, so it kind of makes it a little bit extra work to compare these two, but if you like look around the eye, so everything looks pretty much the same. Let's go to layer 2. All right, layer 2, this guy down here, which this is the one that I split up. Layer 2 and layer 1 essentially look the same, but look what's going on over here. Like, what's happening with his ear and with his nose hole? It's like propagating this outward. And these two are sliced identical. So I'm like, why is it going from this little shape and that little shape on layer 1 to then propagating in the X and Y? And what that does, let me keep going. See, it keeps doing it. It gets like worse as it goes. Now by this layer 3, my version that I split up is already solid blue. So it does 2 layers, and I could set it to any thickness I want, but I have it doing 2 layers of red, white, blue, like that. And then by layer 3, it's like solid blue there on out. So it saves filament. This one over here that used painting, it pushes the colors deeper into the part, and look what it starts doing. It's not only is it still changing colors, so it takes longer to print, but also these colors are propagating in the X and Y. And since it's blue is darker than white, you're going to see like these features through this. So I'd print these little thin earrings, and then you'd look at this thing and you'd have like this dark blue area kind of back in there. It was driving me absolutely nuts. So that was all of that was fixed by just splitting these up into parts. So that is really, I guess that's really it. It's just be cautious when you use the paint function. See how that one doesn't have any painting and that one was fully painted. Split these parts over here, assign colors, and make sure, back to that helmet, make sure that you've got your interface layer matching the color.